Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your boy Varun Chopra, and today we'll be discussing about the comparative analysis of 4 countries that you might be considering as your study abroad destination. These countries are USA, UK, Canada and Australia. I am making this video because I've been getting a lot of queries, a lot of questions regarding which country is the best fit as your study abroad destination, and trust me, by the end of this video, you yourself will know which one is the best one for you. And even if you don't, watch this video till the end and I'll tell you which one is the best. So I've taken up 10 parameters to compare these countries, which I think would suffice and would be sufficient for you to know which one is the best country for you for your master. And this video is specifically for your masters, and I'll be making a separate video for bachelors, so stay tuned to the channel if you're interested in the bachelors one. And if you're interested for the bachelors one, watch this video. This will be conducive in taking that decision as well. So to start with, we have the first parameter, which is the course length. Now this parameter I think is one of the major parameters that should be taken into consideration, because this would really affect the amount of money that you would be investing and of course your very precious time. So in USA, generally the masters are for 2 years. Some exceptions are there, but then you lose on to the CPT, which is the internship period, and I wouldn't recommend taking those courses. And in UK, it is a major advantage. The masters are just 1 year, and there are some cases wherein you will find the masters to be 2 years, but that is when you take up a placement year. Now what is a placement year? Placement year is basically an extended year wherein you prepared for the placements to get a job in UK. It does not guarantee a job, but it prepares you better for the working environment. And then again, coming to Canada, generally the masters are between 1.5 to 2 years. Some masters, like Masters of Business Analytics, are about 1.5 years. But then again, I'll come to why you should not take up courses less than 2 years in Canada. In Australia, the courses are again for 2 years. Now coming to standardized tests, in USA, you generally need the GRE for your masters or the GMAT for your MBA. And apart from this, you also need a language test. It could be either IELTS or TOEFL. In UK, there are some institutes like LBS, London Business School, or LSE, or other top institutes like University College London, Imperial College London. These will recommend you to give the GRE. It's not compulsory, but if you've given the GRE and if you've gotten a good score, it will be an added advantage. So it is recommended if you have a weak profile relative to the competition pool. So if you have a good GRE score in that case, that will definitely be an added advantage. And of course, you have to give the language test, that is IELTS. TOEFL generally does not work in the UK. And for Canada, you have to give GRE for some courses, and for some courses you do not have to give the GRE. And GMAT again would be compulsory in all the countries for MBA, so I wouldn't be mentioning that again. And for your language test, you could give either IELTS or TOEFL. Both the language tests work. In Australia, mostly what I have seen is GRE is not really required. You generally give IELTS and you get into a good university for your masters, as long as it's not an MBA. So it's the only requirement in Australia. So in UK and Australia, you could give just IELTS and sail through the admission process. But in Canada, in some universities, and in USA, in most of the universities, you will be required the GRE. Although GRE was waived for the fall 22 intake and the spring 22 intake, I don't know whether it will be waived for the fall 23 intake. So it's better to give the GRE and have a good score in your hand. Now coming to the tuition fees, and these are the average ranges. It could vary depending upon the institute. So I've taken up the average range from various sources, and I've verified them from the recent stats. So all this data is fresh, novel, it's not obsolete. USA, your average tuition in USD would be anywhere between $25,000 to $82,000. And in UK, it could be anything between £13,000 and £35,000. In Canada, it could be anything between 13,000 Canadian dollars to 22,000 Canadian dollars. And in Australia, it could be anything between 23,000 Australian dollars and 40,000 Australian dollars. Now the conversion rates vary from time to time, so you could just verify them by looking it up on the internet. So coming to scholarship opportunities, I know US is pretty expensive in terms of tuitions, but it offers a variety of scholarships in terms of research assistantship, teaching assistantships and grading assistantship. Now, as a research assistant, you basically would be assisting a researcher doing research on any of the current topics that are trending or are the need of the hour or are upcoming in technology or in any other field. So if you're interested in that field, you should start mailing even before your course starts. If you've applied to an institute, got an admit, and know that you will be going to that institute, you're 90% sure, then you should start looking up on the website and reading about the various professors, biodata, what kind of research are they doing. So tell them that you're interested in this work. Tell them about you find their research fascinating and would like to assist them. So generally, people find research assistantship, and teaching assistantship is, again, you'll have to take up a couple of classes perhaps, or labs for the juniors. So these kind of jobs generally you get in the second year if it's a teaching assistantship that you have to take up for the master student. If you get it in the first year, you will have to do labs for the bachelor student. So it's not that bad. You get a good pay grade. Now, grading assistantship is basically when you will be you'll be grading assignments, you'll be grading tutorials and all sorts of things. Of course, not the exams, because that will be graded by the professor. So small assignments on small tutorials, that's all that you'll get to grade, and it pays you well. Generally, US universities provide their own sort of scholarships. The US government doesn't interfere in scholarships, so this might turn to be a kind of a limitation if you go to US, because you already will have to pay a huge sum of money, and you miss out to the opportunity of getting a scholarship from the government, which, my friend, you will get in the UK. In UK, you can get scholarships both from the university and the government. So plus it's a 1-year course, so you definitely save up a lot of time and money, because you have to pay 1 year less for your living expenses working part-time, and you also don't have to pay the tuition for another year. So that definitely gives you an added advantage. Now, in Canada, there are scholarships like in the US, but they're pretty limited, because Canada is still a developing nation, I would say. So these scholarships are not as much as that are there in the UK and US, but you will find scholarships if you're deserving. And similarly, you will find some scholarships in Australia if you're deserving. So, but not many. Coming to the part-time allowance, so basically in USA, and listen to me very carefully, you are only allowed to work part-time on campus. Yes, you'll get 20 hours per week to work as a student, but that'll be only on campus. The wages are generally anything between $8.5 to $15. So that's about USA. In UK, you can work both on and off campus. So this is a major advantage. You could work in any field, on any kind of job, but you cannot be independent. Like, you cannot run your own business. You cannot be an Uber driver. You cannot be anything. You cannot be anything that makes you self-sufficient. So that is a limitation in the UK. So, but you paid around anything between 8 to 12 pounds, £8 being the lower limit and £12 being the best case scenario. And the wages also depend upon what your age is. So there are specific age bars set. Like, if you're above 21, you might be paid a minimum wage of £9 per hour, and if you're like below 18 or somewhere between 18 and 21, you could get somewhere between 8.2 to 8.5 pounds per hour. That's the minimum wage. You could definitely find something that pays you more. Now, in Canada, you could again work 20 hours per week like you could in UK and US, but you will be paid around 12 to 16 Canadian dollars per hour, and you could work both on and on campus, and you could also do jobs that make you self-sufficient. So you could do like delivery jobs, be Uber Eats or Swiggy, Zomato. Like with jobs like Swiggy and Zomato in India, there we have Uber Eats, and you could be an Uber driver if you're allowed. In Australia, similarly, you are allowed to do anything, but there's a catch that you are allowed to work 40 hours a fortnight. So 40 hours a fortnight means that you could split these 40 hours anyway. You could work 10 hours in 1 week and 30 hours in the other week. There's no limitation like 20 hours per week. So you could split these 40 hours a fortnight, in whichever way that suits you, but you could not exceed this limit. And that's about Australia. And coming to the living costs monthly, and these are the average costs. Again, it depends upon how exorbitant your desires are, and if you're very spendthrift, then it's fine. It could be on the lower side, but if you're very prodigal, then again you will have to spend a lot. This is an average cost based on the data that I've found on the internet and after speaking to some of my friends. So in USA, it could be anything between $1,500 to $2,000 per month, and in UK it could be anything between £900 to £1,100 per month, and in Canada it could be anything between 1,300 to 1,500 Canadian dollars, and in Australia it could be anything between 1,600 to 1,700 Australian dollars. There's also a website called Numbeo, which you can look up on the internet and get to know about how much you will be spending on an average in the city that you are planning to study, and it'll give you the exact how much would you spend on the rent, how much would you spend on food, how much would you spend on electricity, water supply, etc. So it's a great website. I used it for my own self, so you could definitely look it up. I'll link it in the description. Now coming to the post-study work allowance, in the USA you basically have two kinds of courses, a STEM course and a non-STEM course. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering and mathematics, and non-STEM is basically a course that is not STEM designated. Now, whether your course is a STEM designated course or not, you'll have to check it on the course's website, and why you have to do it is because both STEM and non-STEM courses get a 1 year of OPT, that is optional practical training period, which allows you to work in the US after you've completed your master's. But the students who have a STEM major can extend this 1 year of OPT for 2 more years, that is 3 years of OPT. So it gives you an higher advantage, it gives you more time to pay off your loans. But there's a catch here. If you don't land up a job within 90 days of completion of your master's, then this OPT gets nullified. So you don't basically would have to come back to your own country, and you'll have to apply for H1B, you'll have to get a job there, and getting a job sitting here would really be very, very tough as compared to being there and finding a job. So this is one thing that you have to keep in mind, because a friend of mine who's recently got an acceptance from UPenn, which is an Ivy, as you all might be knowing, is still considering not going to an Ivy because his course is a non-STEM course and will give him just 1 year to pay off his loan of 60 lakh rupees perhaps. So I think this thing has to be kept in mind while applying. Now talking about UK. UK has recently introduced a graduate route visa, which you all must be aware of, which is also known as PSW, post-study work visa, wherein you will be allowed for 2 years to find and work in the UK for 2 more years after you've completed your graduation. So this has been an advantage British and Scottish and universities in the UK, because it has been attracting a lot of students. The influx of students in UK has increased a lot, and you should definitely consider UK now for your masters. Now coming to Canada. Canada basically has 2 kinds of work allowances after you have completed your course. If your course length is less than 24 months or 2 years, your work allowance period would be equal to the length of your course. So say your course is for 18 months, you will get 18 months to work in Canada after you've completed your course and before you apply for the work visa. But if your course is 2 years or more, then you get 3 years to stay and work in Canada after you've completed your master's. Now talking about Australia, the work allowance post your master's is dependent upon which region do you study in Australia. And if you study in highly populated cities like Sydney, Melbourne or Brisbane, then you get 2 years post your masters to work in Australia. But if you're in a relatively less populated place like Perth, then you might get 3 years or maybe 4 years in some cases. So it depends upon which area are you in Australia. Now coming to the full-time salaries, generally the full-time salaries in US would be anything between 60k to 110k USD. In UK it would be anything between 55 to 75,000 pounds, which is, I would say, anything between 55 lakhs to 75 lakhs in INR per annum. And in Canada, it could be anything between 50k to 95k Canadian dollars. And in Australia, it could be anything between 60k to 80k AUD. So again, your income is proportional to the amount of money that you invest in the country. So if you invest more in USA, the return on investment is much higher as compared to other countries, and you kind of invest less in Canada, so your pay grade after after you're done with your post graduation is also relatively lesser. So coming to the PR and citizenship opportunities in USA, it is a colossal process. It takes a lot of time. It is very grueling. Your green card could take as much as 10 to 15 years, especially for us Indians, because every year only 7% of the Indians get a green card via a lottery system, as you all might know. So getting a green card in US could take anything between 10 to 15 years. And my friend, this green card could also get revoked if there's any kind of complaint of like theft, robbery, or anything that's illegal. If any kind of complaint is lodged against you, then your green card is at a high risk of getting revoked. So you have to keep this in mind. And then citizenship could take another 5 or 7 years. So the average time to get citizenship could be anything between 15 to 20 years in the USA. Whereas in UK, to get citizenship, it could take anything between 6 to 8 years. And there's another requirement that is there, that you have to have an annual income of minimum 20,800 pounds. Yes, this exact figure is the minimum requirement that is supposed to be fulfilled if you want to be eligible for applying for PR or citizenship. And UK government is still considering whether to adopt a point-based immigration system or not, like we have it in Canada and Australia. So in Canada, the process to get a PR is the easiest. So 1 year after your program ends, you could apply for the PR and you might end up getting it. And 3 years after that, you could apply for citizenship. So in a matter of 4 years, you are a Canadian citizen. So this is a major advantage, and this is why a lot of people consider Canada as a study abroad destination, because if you have plans of settling abroad, Canada could be your best bet. And this country has a point-based immigration system. So if you fulfill the criteria, like if you have a master's degree, if you have a bachelor's degree, there are points designated to such such parameters, and I guess it's something with 60 points or is the minimum requirement or something. I don't know the exact number. I will look about it on the internet and update you with that. But say it's 60 points, then there are for example 20 points for a bachelor's degree, 25 points for a master's degree, and some points for your experience, some points for the if you are eligible to work in a skill-based job. So if you're not married, if no dependent people are going to come, so basically there are a lot of criteria which if you fulfill, you gain points, and once you clear the threshold, then you might get your PR. Now coming to Australia, it could take you again anything between 5 to 7 years to get the Australian PR, but this is only for top level degrees like computer science, MBA, or engineering. So for such kind of courses, it could take you anything between 5 to 7 years. For other courses, it might take you more. And Australia also has a point-based immigration system, so things are a bit easier as compared to other countries except Canada. Now, coming to the last parameter, which is weather. So talking about USA, I cannot give you an exact idea of how things work because US is huge, it's humongous. So it depends upon which area are you traveling to. Like Boston is pretty cold and Miami is pretty hot. So it depends the area that you're planning to go for. And in UK, generally in places like London and Edinburgh, it rains for 9 months. Not heavy rains, but it rains for 9 months. It rains and it snows for 3. And the temperature ranges between -2 degrees Celsius in cold times to 35 degrees Celsius in summers. And in Canada, the climatic conditions are extreme, which is a major limitation if you are considering to go for your master in Canada, because in some places it could be as low as -35 degrees Celsius during the cold times, and it could be as high as 45 degrees Celsius during the summer. So it depends upon the region. Again, the climatic conditions in Canada are harsh. There are places where in 6 months is work from home and 6 months you have to go to your office or to work. So this is a major limitation. And in Australia, it's generally hot, it's not very cold. So the lowest temperature that has been recorded is anything between 14 to 15 degrees Celsius during the cold times in Sydney and Melbourne and areas like that. And the maximum temperature is 45 to 50 degrees Celsius. So it's pretty hot. If you are a fan of summers, if you like summers, if you like wearing summer outfits, then Australia is your place. Now, talking about which country is the best one, I think it's subjective. I could not give you one answer, because I think it depends upon what your future goals are, how financially capable are you or your parents, how much backing do you have from your family, because all these points have to be taken into consideration. You also have to consider the post-study work prospects, because if you invest, say, 50 lakhs, 45 lakhs, or maybe 60 lakhs in some cases, then if you're not able to find a good job, if you're not able to stay there, earn in that currency, then all that money, all that time invested won't be worthwhile. So you have to take all these points into consideration and decide which one's the best one for you. And I hope you like this video. I hope this video has been conducive. I know this is the time when most of the students would be starting to look up for universities germane to their fields, which offer courses that they want to do. So take these points into consideration. You should go for a university that helps you be financially free, but at the same time is ranked high for your course. So you have to find something that is pocket friendly, but would also help you prosper in your particular domain in the future. So I hope you liked the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel as yet, kindly subscribe to it. I've been putting a lot of efforts, a lot of time into making these videos to help you guys out, and I'm looking forward to your messages. I've been getting a lot of messages to the kind of videos that you guys want, and if I don't reply to your messages, don't be disheartened. I definitely read them. I definitely take them into account before making the videos, and you could also leave comments in the comment section. I'll read them and I'll make videos accordingly. So if you like the video, please like it. If you loved the video, kindly subscribe to the channel. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it will help you take a better decision. And that's all from my side. This is VC signing off.